Yo guys, it's Slyroh. You already know that today I'm bringing you guys my battle for Week 6 of Season 3 of the Pokemon Premier League. Today we're taking on Kelly, aka Under the Radar, and the Baltimore Braviarys. Now, entering into this game, we are 5th on the league table, which we have been at for the past couple weeks actually, which is pretty cool. We also enter with Arcanine still at the top of the Golden Pokeball Award, despite not showing up last week, and it's also not showing up this week. It's like I've become a whole new person. It's crazy. Either way, this was a fantastic battle. This is like top 5 battles that I've had in my PPL, in my time in the PPL. This is easily in the top 5 battles. So I hope you guys are excited to see this. If you want a full in-depth analysis of the team I'm bringing, make sure you go check out the team builder that went up earlier today. I will try and leave a link to it in the description. I say that and then I always forget, but I'm going to try. And yeah, but to give you a quick rundown on my team, what I did bring is it brought a physically defensive Roserade for an Azumarill, a Scarfed Lantern, a Life Orb Tornadus T, especially offensive Mega Altaria, a physically defensive Hitmontop, and a bulky Specs Hydreigon. So, I knew going into this game that this was going to be a very close match. This was going to be really, really tightly contested, and it could really come down to either one of us. This was going to be a really, really hard game to win. So, let's go ahead and find out how we did. Now, this battle took place almost a week ago. So if I do forget some of the things, that's going to be why, but I am going to try and remember as much as I can to be able to communicate why I made the plays that I did. So, like I said, let's go ahead and start this off. So, Kelly's team that he's deciding to bring is Alomomola, Electros, Togetic, Reuniclus, Infernape, and Amoonguss. And this team actually caught me off guard a little bit. I wasn't really expecting Alomomola or Amoonguss like that much. Like, I figured that they could come. I was expecting Garchomp, and I was expecting something else. Miltank, I think. I don't know, I just thought that there was going to be other things he brought. So this is a very defensive team, and I was just like, oh, this is not great. But I decided to start off with my Tornadus T because I can basically just U-turn out on whatever he leads with. And which is what I decided to do. Even a Scarfed Electros can't outspeed a Tornadus T, so there was really nothing to worry about there. But then I had to try and figure out what to switch into this thing. I have more of an offensive team because Kelly's team is so bulky. I had to bring more offensive stuff. So I bring in the Lantern, and this is where it's just like I really should have brought Volt Absorb because the Azumarill didn't show up. That's the thing. Azumarill didn't show up. I was like, my mind was blown. I prepared really, really hard for Azumarill, and it didn't even show up. So that's really selfish of Kelly. Did not appreciate that at all. But I saw the Thunder Punch and I calced it. He is not. Oh, wait, I'm trying to think. I think I figured out that he didn't have any attack investment based on that. I could be wrong. I'm trying to double check. But I'm pretty sure that this is still a standard Electros set with coverage moves. I don't remember. I think based off this, yeah, I don't think it has offensive investment. I think it's like especially attacking one with Thunder Punch is like coverage move. I could be wrong. I'm gonna have to double check on that. But I do bring in Hitmontop because he was going for physical moves. I figured he was gonna switch out someone for the Toxic, which would have been great because this actually turns out to be a Regenerator Reuniclus, which I thought that he might bring. I was really fearing the Magic Guard Life Orb Trick Room set, but that isn't quite the one he brought. I think he did bring Trick Room, actually. I don't remember. But, spoilers, it doesn't really play into the game. So, I know I can take any one hit with the Tornadus T, and he reveals that he has Signal Beam, which means that he doesn't have Focus Blast, which means that Hydreigon can switch in on this Reuniclus one time. A max HP Hydreigon cannot die to a Signal Beam from Reuniclus. I figured he was going to switch out. I go for the knockoff. I get a crit, which does matter, and I knock off the Assault Vest. It matters because that guarantees that I can take him out with my next hit. If I didn't get the crit, it would definitely not be guaranteed that I could take him out with another hit. Which means that I would have had to switch into this thing again, or I would have had to try and take him out with the Dark Pulse. Actually, Dark Pulse might have still taken him out. I actually don't know, so that crit might not have mattered. But, you know, I probably wouldn't have risked it. You know, we never know. But yeah, see, the Electros is down, which is fantastic, because I didn't really have too much to switch into that. And he brings in a Loma Mola, and I was like, okay. So I go ahead for the U-turn and find out that this is Rocky Helmet, also most likely meaning that it's physically defensive. And based on that knowledge, I do believe I go into a special attacker, which is going to be Lantern. He goes for the Toxic. I was hoping that he might just try and get like Scald Burns or something, so Water Absorb Lantern just really isn't coming into play. This is the second time this season where I picked the wrong ability on Lantern, and you know, I kind of suffer for it. But Lantern's health is already getting low. I do want to save it, but at the same time, I really want it to help keep momentum. So I go for the Volt Switch. There's a lot of Volt Switching and U-turning going on my end, because I really want to try and get the matchup advantage here. And I believe I Volt Switch this time into Tornadus T. Oh, sorry, I gotta stop myself from sneezing. I do believe I go into Tornadus T here, which is going to threaten this thing out, because he might have a Regenerator Core on his own, but I do have a Regenerator Mon in Tornadus T that can continually U-turn out. And I have the Tornadus T with U-turn, I have Hydreigon that has U-turn, and I have the Lantern that has Volt Switch, so I just have a lot of initiative this week because I knew I was going to need it. So this turn I was caught between whether I should go for an Air Slash and do a good chunk of damage, or if I should just U-turn out, predicting him to switch. I do go for the Air Slash because I figured he might stay in, knowing that he could take one, see what he's going to go for, and he goes for a Sludge Bomb. So I don't really find out too much from that. I thought this was especially defensive Amoonguss. I didn't really take note that he didn't have Black Sludge or any sort of recovery item. I probably should have noticed that because that Amoonguss does turn out to be Assault Vested, which I did not realize right away. But I switch into the Roserade knowing that I can take any hit from the Amoonguss, and I have Technician boosted Hidden Power Ice, which would do about 40% to the Amoonguss. For a specially defensive one, probably less now knowing that it's Assault Vested. But it was really close to being able to take it out from range. I knew he was going to switch out, so I actually decided to go for the Sludge Bomb, and that does, like, not much at all. But at the same time, I was just like, I mean, I brought this Roserade on this Amoonguss, so he brought it in on this, so I was just like, that's kind of weird. So I just go for the Hidden Power Eyes, maybe that's what he was scouting for, and I hit the Reuniclus on the switch-in. This Reuniclus, by the way, also turns out to be Assault Vested, which means he has 3 Assault Vested users, and I brought a lot of special attackers. Actually, all of mine were special attackers outside of Hitmontop, which wasn't even an offensive Pokemon. So, he predicted my team really well. I didn't bring any major physical threats. All my offense was special. So, this is where it's, you know, going to get really tough. So I had to switch into this. Like I said, I know Hydreigon can take a Signal Beam, no problem, and he goes for Future Sight. Now here I am frantically calcing Future Sight mechanics because I'm not super familiar with how many turns Future Sight is up for and things like that. It's up for 2 turns. So he withdraws, and it goes into this thing, the Togetic. And I U-turn out because, I mean, I knew he was going to switch. And I believe I might go back into Roserade. I either do that or I go into Lantern. I don't entirely remember. So, I do go into the Roserade. I go back into the Roserade to try and threaten him out with a Sludge Bomb. Now, I kind of miscounted Future Sight turns. So I stay in here when I could have double switched into Hydreigon to take the Future Sight, but I miscounted and Roserade goes down as a result. To be fair, if I did switch into Hydreigon, that would have been a really risky switch because I'm switching into Hydreigon on a Togetic. So there was also that, but that wasn't the thought process. I probably would have switched in Hydreigon if I didn't miscount the Future Sight turns, because I thought there was no way he was staying with Togetic on the Roserade. Which would have been great, but Roserade does go down as a result. I wanted to save it because of Loma Mola. It was going to be harder to take down now, but I was just like, this isn't the end of the world. Hopefully, I should be able to take it down, especially since I know that it is a physically defensive Loma Mola. This turn, I go for the knockoff, and knockoff this thing's Assault Vest. This is when I find out that it's Assault Vest, which means that I can actually start doing a lot of damage to it now. I can just go for the Air Slash to take this thing out. But I thought he might switch out, and in okay, never mind, that's a different turn. Sorry. I go for the Air Slash and I take out the Amoonguss. Here, okay. I think he brings in something else, but yeah, I do take out the Amoonguss, which is great. I guess he felt the Amoonguss wasn't as necessary without its Assault Vest. He brings in this. I was just going to U-turn out, but he could bring in the Yellow Momola, kill me with the Rocky Helmet damage, and that's a dead Tornadus T. So I actually decided to do a straight switch out. The problem is Togetic actually can hit my team for a really decent chunk. Obviously, it would kill Tornadus T. It would Lanturns at a low enough health that it would 2-KO it. Mega Altaria actually gets close to 2-KO'd. Hitmontop, same thing. And same with Hydreigon. So I actually bring in the Lantern to kind of sack it off. Now here, I could have either Volt Switched or just go for damage. And I decided to go for damage because of the same reason as the last turn. I realized I don't actually have anything to switch into a Dazzling Gleam from Togetic. And that's one of those things that, like, people underestimate Togetic, but if you don't, if you don't prepare something to switch in for it, it can really get you. He actually gets paralyzed, which I actually don't remember if that comes into play or not. I think it does. So that does suck, but I just wanted to go for damage because Lantern had done its job. It was already at low health. I wasn't going to be able to switch in again, which means that really sucks. The Scarf would have come in really, really handy for that Infernape that is still alive and at full health, but I wasn't able to do that. So I go ahead and bring in the Tornadus T with the purpose of knocking off this thing's Eviolite. That's all I wanted to do. If he took me out with the Dazzling Gleam, so be it. I needed this thing's Eviolite gone. And I knew there wasn't really too much else that he would want to switch into. So he actually lets this thing stay in, and he gets paralyzed. I don't know what move he was going for there, but if he was going for a Dazzling Gleam, he could have taken me out. Which means now I just go for the attack because I knew that he because I know it would do a lot of damage, and I don't have anything to switch into this thing. But now he has a really low health, paralyzed Togetic, and I bring in something that can hit the rest of his team really, really hard. Hyper Voice is a 2-KO on the rest of his team at this point, is what I thought, because even I think especially defensive Reuniclus, I still think got 2-KO'd by this Hyper Voice. So go for the Hyper Voice, take this thing out, and I think he does actually bring in the Reuniclus. And I don't really want to switch too many things in. This Mega Altaria is kind of like here till it dies. And again, at this point, I was just like, I'm pretty sure Hyper Voice 2-KOs, especially defensive Reuniclus. So this should be no problem at all. So go for the Hyper Voice. That's not a 2-KO. That's not a 2-KO at all. So he goes for the Future Sight again, and I was like, I'm not making the same mistake. I am going to count my Future Sight turns this time. So I stay in and go for a Hyper Voice one more time, knowing that on the second turn that it will hit. So I do that. He goes for the Psyshock, and then this turn I actually switch into Hydreigon to absorb the Future Sight attack. As I don't remember what he does. He might actually predict that and go for the Signal Beam. Let's find out. And yeah, so like I said, I switched into the Hydreigon, and he does predict that, goes to the Signal Beam, but because I'm max HP, it doesn't really matter. Also, he's not Life Orb. I was doing calcs with Life Orb. Life Orb, Magic Guard, Signal Beam to this Hydreigon, and it couldn't take it out. So obviously, now that he's Assault Vest, which I did realize when I did less than half, I realized he's Assault Vested on this too, that he definitely can't take me out with Signal Beam. I don't think he could have even taken me out with a Focus Blast at that point. I go for the U-turn. He gets more Rocky Helmet damage on that. I knew he wasn't going to stay in to try and take a Dark Pulse. So I just go back out into this Mega Altaria, knowing I can easily 2-KO this thing. But Kelly plays fantastically in these few set of plays. I go for the Hyper Voice. He goes for the Toxic and hits. I have Heal Bell, but I want to keep up the pressure offensively because I know that there's nothing he wants to switch in, and I didn't want to give him a free switch. I can't switch into Hydreigon on the Reuniclus anymore, and I didn't want Reuniclus getting a free switch in. The only problem is, this has Regenerator, this has Regenerator, and I go for the Hyper Voice, and I cannot take either one of them out with one Hyper Voice. So what he's actually going to do is he's just going to continually switch back and forth between the Reuniclus and the Alomomola to keep getting himself more health back, as I am being worn down by Toxic, which is a great playing by Kelly. That was fantastic, and I was just like, this does not look good for me at all. So I don't have much more to lose because it looks like I'm losing this match. So I switch into Hydreigon, predicting that switch into the Reuniclus. And now he does not have a switch into a Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor takes this thing out, takes out the Alomomola, and it's a clean Oko on the Infernape that's still alive. So I go for the Draco, and as long as I don't miss, I get a kill on something. That's all I need. He switches in the Alomomola, the most expendable member on his team, hit the Draco, and it does knock it out. So Hydreigon gets its first and actually, spoiler alert, only kill this match. As he then brings in, I think he brings in Reuniclus? Actually, he brings in Reuniclus, probably knowing that he can live one. I don't know if that damage told him out of specs or not, but either way, he brings this in, and so I either sack this thing off, I sack this off. So, and it gets crit, didn't matter. I'm kind of running through scenarios in my head, and at this point, I was just like, I lost. I know I lost, but I can salvage some differential. I can lose 1-0, and it'll be fine. Because right now, actually, I sent in Hitmontop to do some Endeavor shenanigans. I go for the Toxic, as I know I can live a Psyshock. I calculated I can live one, it's fine. Which I do. And basically, once I started putting this plan into action, I was just like, it was a plan to take out the Reuniclus, but then I was like, wait, Infernape comes in and kills me with Mach Punch. After running through everything I could possibly do, there was no way for me to win this game. So I go for the Endeavor. He actually overpredicts, go for the Signal Beam, and I actually live, which is pretty funny. That actually means that I can take this thing out with a close combat. But it really doesn't matter because he brings in Infernape, and he can win from here. Infernape, Flare Blitz does like 40% to physically defensive Hitmontop. That's if it's like Life Orb. If it's Adamant Life Orb, it does like 40%. That's after an Intimidate. The Intimidate isn't even factored in this match right here. So right here, I was just like, it doesn't matter. I don't want to say I let Kelly win. I fight it. I don't fight it because there was no fighting it. He won, and he does show Life Orb, so he would have been able to take out my Hitmontop if I switched out in Hydreigon, switched back in to get the Intimidate. He still would have taken out Hitmontop, and close combat would not have taken out the Infernape. So regardless of anything, he wins this match, and you can see he does win this match 1-0. So go ahead back to this screen. Whoa, there we go. No, not that screen. There we go. So as you can see, Kelly does win 1-0. Because I just had nothing at the end. Once Hitmontop took all that damage from the Reuniclus, then Infernape won. However, if I had sent in, I guess I could have sent in Hydreigon, Dracoed, and got something else off, but I still feel like then he would have been able to win with Reuniclus. Maybe that would have been a better play at the end. Sacking off the Mega Altaria, going into the Hydreigon and going for a Draco Meteor, but I don't think that actually killed the Reuniclus, so I would have had to go for a Dark Pulse. So there's all sorts of different things that could have happened, but Kelly does win this game, and it was a fantastic game. He played really well, he prepped it really well, 3 Assault Vest users, as I brought 5 special attackers, and there's really not much that could be said about that. He didn't, like, none of my shenanigans worked too much. Scarf Lantern didn't really get to do much because all the things that have switched on at outsped anyway, so the Scarf didn't matter. Physically defensive Roserade was expendable because there was no Azumarill for it to be physically defensive on. The only thing that worked, which I'm so happy about, is Endeavor Hitmontop. I absolutely loved using that set, and it might not be the last time you see that because that was great to get some last minute chip damage, and if I can see that playing again in the future, then maybe I'll use it. So we'll see. But we lose 1-0, puts us at 3-3. That makes us basically the most mediocre team in the league. We are just dancing right in the middle of the table, and that's where I feel like we're going to kind of be at for the rest of the season. So the rest of the season is just making sure that we have enough wins to keep ourselves out of being relegated to Division 2. But every game is not a do or die game. So there's a transfer week that is coming up, and you can definitely expect a transfer to happen because I have a lot less to lose. There is a very, very small percent chance that I would be able to win the PPL title this year. It's not looking likely, so I'm not really looking for that. I'm just going to try and do my best, try and use some mons, or use some strategies that I haven't tried yet, and see where it goes from there. So that's, this battle kind of puts the nail in the coffin on our season. It doesn't do it officially, but it does come very close to doing so. So, yeah, next week we're going to be taking on Alex, Onesie Bennett, and not the Celtadano, whatever, this season. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about that pronunciation, because he is the AS Monferno. Look at that, I can't even pronounce that. I thought I could. But no, he is a new team this season, AS Monferno. If you guys remember last season, Alex, that we had my favorite battle of all time. I played the best that I ever think I have in League format in that game, and we're gonna try and do that again because Alex has never beaten us in 2 seasons in the PPL, and there's no reason to let him start now. So hopefully you guys are excited for that match. Let me know your thoughts about this match, and I will see you guys all next time. So thanks for watching, and until the next time, guys, stay sly.